sleeps, pal.
Hey there, I'm Pete Townsend, and this is Money Never Sleeps. We look inside the minds of entrepreneurs and at the crossover of startups, enterprise, finance, technology, and life as we know it. This episode of Money Never Sleeps is sponsored by Pat FinTech, a training partner that demystifies fintech and digital finance for financial services professionals. This is a special bonus episode welcoming back Ollie Walsh.
I'm Ollie Walsh. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Pipit Global.
As Pipit Global's crowdfunding campaign on the Spark crowdfunding platform here in Ireland is going live next week. Ollie was on the show back in July 2019 in episode 52, so we brought him back to bring us all up to speed and tell us all about the campaign. Pipit are a for-profit social impact fintech based in Galway here in Ireland. Pipit have built a platform that now touches every continent and has the potential to impact the lives of millions with a safer and more cost-effective way for migrants to support their families. So let's dive right in with Ollie Walsh, right here on Money Never Sleeps.
Money never sleeps, pal.
Ollie Walsh, how the hell are you?
I'm pretty good, Pete. How are you?
Good. I know you're in the Portershed in Galway. I missed that place big time.
Yeah, and our brand new podcast suite.
That's awesome. I'm just dying to get back out to Galway. We got some time booked there this summer, way out in the middle of nowhere in West Galway. But it's just been too damn long, hasn't it?
It has. Last month marked my 1-year anniversary of the last time I was in Dublin.
Jesus Christ almighty. Yeah, no, I think it marked mine as well. Like I am literally, 10 kilometers from the city center, and I have not been in the center of Dublin in over a year.
Wow.
So, we're in good company here. Now, listen, I know we talk every week. Obviously, I'm a non-exec on your board, and I've got some skin in the game as well. But we had you on episode 52 back 2 years ago, right? And it's awesome just to immortalize this moment in time for Pipit Global right now and want you to tell the story about what's going on right now. So maybe just for the sake of catching everybody up, since episode 52 back in July of 2019, where we talked about enabling migrants to support their families back home cheaper and safer, which always rolls right off the tongue quite nicely, prioritizing your pipeline and the social impact of Pipit, and also obviously your love of Tai Chi. Why don't you get us up to speed with what's happened over the last couple of years and where you guys are right now, yeah?
Okay, great. So back in 2019, I think we just only recently closed our seed round. We were building up the team and building up our merchant base. The number one use today is a combination of e-wallet and bill payment. So it is migrants who are unbanked where they live, loading funds into an e-wallet and paying bills, essentially. So, to send cash home from the UK to West Africa, which is our main channel at the moment, is 9.5%. So people are spending 9.5% to send money home, pay a bill. Whereas with us, they can pay that bill directly for about 3.5%. So that difference is huge in emerging markets.
It makes a massive difference. And tell us how it works.
So we're a B2B company. So we integrate with payments institutions, like I said, banks, e-wallets, billers, e-commerce platforms in emerging markets. The consumer logs onto their banking app, say Sterling Bank in Nigeria is one of our partners. They select to lodge cash. They get a Pipit barcode within the banking ecosystem. They're not redirected to Pipit. And then they go into a local pay point in the UK, scan the barcode, lodge the cash over the counter. Once the barcode is scanned, their account at home is topped up in the local currency.
Very good. You're digitalizing cash.
Exactly.
Awesome.
I think one of the things we quickly learned was to get in with big players, you need a critical mass of what you can offer them. So like our first corridor to go live was UK to Ghana, and we thought we were great when we had a corridor live. In 2019, we did about £3 million worth of transactions from UK to Ghana. When we went and started targeting bigger companies, we found out that a small footprint has limited value to players unless they're regional. So we decided really to focus in on maximizing that channel while at the same time building up our footprint. So last year we doubled it, over doubled it, £6.5 million in transactions from UK to Ghana, which is 1.5% of the total UK to Ghana market, remittance market. So we're pretty happy with that.
Big number.
But at that stage we had 12,000 cash in points in the UK that were live. So we really focused in on building that network. Halfway through that process, of course, the pandemic struck, which affected everybody. Yep. The big change it made for us, I suppose, is we've been able to get a lot of agreements signed, but getting them integrated has slowed down considerably. The reason being that our partners integrate with us a lot of the time. So Working from home from Galway, it isn't the same as working from home from Lagos. Access to broadband isn't as widespread, obviously, and a lot of our merchants are banks and obviously payments companies, so their devices are secure, so people can bring home their laptop, for example, was something that became a big blocker to us, that the staff were working from home but didn't necessarily have access to their systems.
Right.
So we really focused in on getting agreements signed because we could do that. And we've built up a backlog of signed integrations or signed agreements now that we need to get integrated. So now we're live this year we've gone live in France and Spain. So we have 50,000 pay-in points between those two countries. We've added another 20,000 on in the UK. Right now we're live testing Kenya, Uganda, Senegal, Ghana, Mali, Tanzania, in Africa. The common perception, I suppose, would be that when people in Africa migrate, they move to Europe or move to the States, whereas 70% of African migrants stay in Africa. So they're remitting money home across African borders, and it's even more expensive, those channels, than the Europe to Africa channels. So there's a big opportunity for us there. So we're currently testing that and integrating that. And we're also integrating now in Latin America, Chile, Mexico, Peru, Brazil, and Ecuador. We're hoping to live test those next week. But we've another, probably 50 countries signed, which are on the integration roadmap. As well as cash in points, we now have connected through our API with about 50 million bank accounts in Africa. We've 200 million African e-wallets, 100 million Latin American bank accounts, and we've 2,500 billers over 57 countries signed up, some integrated and some in the integration pipeline.
I'm hearing these numbers every week, Ollie, and I'm never less than amazed.
There's lots more just signed. We've even signed a few things that you haven't heard about yet, Pete, which we'll be announcing soon. So we've signed 2 deals in the last couple of days, which will dramatically expand those numbers.
All right.
Soon to be announced.
It's a massive machine that you've got going, right? Knowing now the big step forward that you guys are taking with regards to the Spark crowdfunding campaign, right? We had Chris Burge from Spark on the show back on episode 111. And I had been looking quite a bit into crowdfunding a couple of years ago for a number of reasons. And really, that conversation with Chris really copper fastened all of it for me, right? In thinking about the gap that Spark fills really in the Irish market when it comes to raising a few 100,000, right? Which is kind of their sweet spot. Although, they have raised up to 500 to 800,000. But can you tell us about the crowdfunding campaign, when that's kicking off, and the approach that you've taken to pull the story together, really about where Pipit is right now for the public consumption, really?
Sure. Well, Spark have a good model because they've quite a supportive model where they have an active base of investors. We did talk to Seeders and we talked to Crowdcube, and they actually do very little to help you raise the money, if anything at all. And obviously it's a very competitive landscape, those guys, because anybody can put up anything with a slide deck is all you need, really. Whereas with Spark, it's a very curated process to get onto the Spark platform. So their investors know that you've gone through a pretty rigorous due diligence process to get there in the first place, which obviously brings a lot of security to the investor. So we're private live on the site at the moment. If you're in to know, you can get the link. We go public in, I think, next week. We have a webinar coming up Thursday for the Spark panel, which is in advance of going public live.
Okay.
And the process really, it's around getting that deck right, which is a long process of getting a lot of feedback from a lot of people on deck, because you're so close to it, so close to the business. You need a lot of outside input to really frame it in a way that appeals to the general public. So there's definitely a thing called deck blindness, from just looking at the deck all the time and not really seeing it anymore. So we've gone through a long process of getting feedback from, I would say, 30 people we've sent a deck to, and getting a variety of feedback and trying to incorporate that into a fine-tuned document. And it's really been about the story so far and why we're fundraising, which is really, like we said, we have a big backlog now of tech integrations to be done and products to be launched. So it's about raising in advance of a Series A raise. Probably later on this year is a target to a Series A, to do a smaller raise in advance of that, to get these integrated and live and transacting and build up the value in advance of a Series A.
This episode of Money Never Sleeps is sponsored by Pat FinTech, demystifying fintech and digital finance for financial services professionals. Pat FinTech enable financial services professionals to transform their capabilities into the digital age
with dedicated virtual training programs geared towards those that can develop, deliver, and monitor optimally customized user experiences balanced by appropriate governance, control, and oversight. To learn more about Pat FinTech, go to moneyneversleeps.ie/PAT FinTech.
Can you tell us kind of almost the video story, right, of Pipit that you guys put into the crowdfunding video because it's a fantastic medium in which to tell a story, right? Because you've got to do it in 3 minutes or less, and you've got to get it all in there. And you've got to get in all those wonderful shots of you walking through Galway, right? So maybe just share that with us, yeah?
Well, I have to give a big shout out for GK Media in Galway, who did a fantastic job on the video. If we're allowed to promote other people on your podcast.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'll tell you what. There's a guy called Conan Brophy that's going to hear this. It's going to be like, WTF, Pete? How come you didn't ship it my way? Because he also was a pretty damn good video guy. And I did work with him on a crowdfunding video a couple of years ago. But no. Power and props to them, obviously, as well. And who knows if I'm going to leave this part in, but we'll see. But yeah, listen, I know that you can't really, from memory, walk us through and do the whole video script, but give it your best shot.
Okay. So the video is really about the story so far. It's about, we're a social impact company and we're a for-profit company, which some people think is a contradiction in terms. For us, we can do both. And it's about portraying how we do that. So, we have a different model from the Western unions of the world, whereas we have a cash to account model as opposed to a peer-to-peer model, which means that we can do it a lot cheaper than the money transfer offices that people send cash with. We deliberately keep our pricing as low as possible to make that social impact. But we believe in pure economics terms that if you offer the customer the best value, then you drive volume. So that's our social impact for-profit model. Offer the customer a cost-effective and safe way to send money home and cash home to support their families. And then you drive volume through that. So that's really the story of it. And it kind of brings in the numbers I gave you there about the countries we're onboarding and the merchants we're onboarding and how we can make a global impact. Our platform now, as we say in the video, is touching every continent and has the potential to impact millions of lives, which is what we're trying to achieve.
Absolutely. And how has the team rallied around that?
Team's been great. It's we're a small team. There's 5 of us in the operational team, and we have a lot of support from our board, including yourself, and we've some key advisors as well here in the Portrush and around the country who help us on an ongoing basis. But the process has been really a motivational process. Being deck blind and being too close to the process, when you sit down and actually plan out a script for what we've achieved in the last couple of years, it makes you reflect on it and kind of think. We're a small company in the west of Ireland and in the middle of a pandemic, and we've built something significant here that can actually make a big difference.
Absolutely. And that's it for me, right? And just being involved in this on the board and just seeing the impact of being able to, at the very beginning, you've said to me at the very beginning, enabling migrants to support their families back home cheaper and safer, right? Just getting the money home, but by the network that you've built in order to enable people to do that at a very economic rate, you've built something that is commercially quite attractive for a number of different players in the payments ecosystem overall globally, right?
It is, and if you were to believe the media, you would think cash is dead, but it's a long way from dead. And when we started pitching this product and going talking to the banks in Europe about it, no one was interested because it's cash. But once you start talking to banks and e-wallets in emerging markets, they immediately realize the value of what we can bring, because they know how much money has been remitted in cash to their countries, and they know how much has been lost in fees, and they know the value of those remittances to the economy and to the society. So, from an investor perspective, people are looking for apps and blockchain and things like this all the time. But in an emerging market perspective, they know the value of cash to their economy and to their consumers. So it's not a hard sell when you go to a bank in Africa and say, we can do cash cross-border for you.
Yeah. LATAM's really attractive as well. And you know this. But there was a great report, I'll send it on to you, that A16Z, Silicon Valley VC, did. I think it was Angela Strange, where it was just a deep dive into the opportunities for fintech in Latin America. And one of the big things they noted was how much of that economy, of those different economies, because that's a thing, right? LATAM is almost like somewhat of an economic cousin of Europe, in that you've got all these different countries speaking all these different languages that all have different cultures and all have, previously had different currencies in Europe. Now, most of it is on a common currency. Latin America is a different story from that perspective, but so much of that economy is dependent on cash, right? And that
Absolutely.
just isn't projected to go away anytime soon. No matter what Riksbank in Sweden may be doing, no matter what the Chinese may be doing with the digital yuan, no matter what Christine Lagarde may be saying about a digital euro, and where that's, headed, that's at least got a 5-year arc, right? In LATAM, it's a different story.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a hugely cash-based economies across Latin America, and the same in the GCC region in the Middle East, where technologically advanced, but when you look at countries like UAE, 80% of their population are migrants, and the vast majority of them don't have bank accounts, and they're sending cash home. So what we're looking at really is the kind of regional flows of cash. So from broadly speaking, they kind of flow on our colonial lines, where the UK money goes to East Africa, West Africa, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, whereas France is to North Africa and Spain is to South America. The Middle East region is very much to India, Philippines. So we're trying to kind of get cash collection partners where a lot of migrants live, and then payment institution partners where migrants have come from to offer that cash process.
Well, before we wrap up, tell us the details of the campaign, when it's going live, and what we can expect.
The details of the campaign is we're raising €350,000. It should be live next week, ending the private live process, which is part of Spark's process to target their existing investor groups in advance of the full public rollout of the campaign. So it's not a fixed date at the moment. I anticipate it's going to be live next week.
Cool.
It's sparkcrowdfunding.com. You'll find all the details.
So, Ollie, there is a public webinar coming up on Pipit on the Spark crowdfunding platform, yeah?
That's right. It's tomorrow at 1:00. Who wants to join in can contact sparkcrowdfunding.com and they'll send them the link.
Great. And how do they get in touch with you?
They'll get us, Ollie.Walsh at Pipit.Global.
There you go. All right. Well, Ollie, thanks so much for coming back on the show. Appreciate it. We already know the one thing that people wouldn't expect to know about you, which is your love of Tai Chi.
Yeah. Tai Chi's gone good these days.
Good. You got to keep that up, right? Because that keeps the soul clean, right? Absolutely.
Every morning before work.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks so much for coming back. And listen, we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Great. All right. Cheers.
That does it for this week, folks. Thanks to Ollie for coming back onto the show to tell us all about the Pipit Global crowdfunding campaign launching the week of April 26th on the Spark crowdfunding platform. Links are on our website at moneyneversleeps.ie, so check us out online and subscribe to our Money Never Sleeps newsletter as well. Thanks to Conan Brophy from Create Sound for mixing and editing this episode. Conan is an excellent media man to get in touch with when you're thinking about launching your own podcast. As for me, I'm the founding partner at Norio Ventures, and I'm an early-stage startup advisor and investor focused on fintech and digital assets. If you'd like to talk to me about your business, drop me a voicemail on moneyneversleeps.ie. Finally, till next time, thanks for listening. See ya!